president is absolutely committed to keeping his promise that we will act, and we will act in a way that is designed, even if he says we could only save one life, we have to take action.
Vice President Biden today vowing to take the steps to prevent tragedies like the one in Newtown from happening again. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut says the school shooting calls for a seismic change in gun policy, and he joins me now. Senator, thank you for joining me. It's been a horrendous week for Connecticut.
It's been a week that I don't want to relive again.
That is the key thing here, isn't it? I had a big town hall debate last night in which the common thread of everybody really was these things keep happening. How do we try and stop them happening again? This has happened right in your state. You've been all over this all week, and you've lived the terrible trauma of these families. What is the most constructive, definitive thing that America's lawmakers can now do?
You know, there is no single, simple solution. It has to be a multifaceted approach, beginning with a ban on assault weapons, stopping high-capacity magazine, better background checks. Right now, 40% of all sales of guns in the United States involve no background check, and better, more comprehensive checks, as well as mental health improvement in the clinician and outreach and intervention programs, and of course, better enforcement of all these laws, not just existing laws, but more support and resources for the federal agencies like AT&F and the local and state police that have responsibility to protect our children.
I mean, I have been stunned by the sheer political cowardice of so many politicians in America who seem just terrified of saying anything that the NRA may object to. The NRA has 4 million members. America has 310 million people living here. I just don't understand why everybody is so cowed about publicly debating this and trying to get exactly the measures in place that you've just suggested.
I think there really has been a seismic change. The political landscape is changing almost tectonically as people react to the horror of beautiful children, babies really, slaughtered en masse, and the teachers and other professionals who came to their aid, putting themselves literally between the bullets and those children. I think that a nerve has been touched, and I think that Newtown will never be the same, but neither will America. And so I think that kind of nerve hitting will be reflected in what happens here in Washington.
Are you really sensing from your colleagues that this is a tipping point?
I really am sensing that there is an openness and a willingness on the part of a lot of people who never would have considered before to actually consider, for example, a ban on assault weapons, which, as everybody knows, were designed for military use. And right now, even in the states that have them, like my state of Connecticut, and I know because I helped write the bill, and then I personally defended it in court, in the trial and the argument before our state Supreme Court when it was challenged constitutionally. It has essentially weaknesses or defects that need to be corrected. So on a wide range of issues, we can do better. We must do something. That's the refrain that I've heard throughout Newtown, throughout Connecticut, and throughout the country from people who write or call. We must do something, and I think it's reflected in the very powerful statements that the President and the Vice President have made.
I had a very harrowing interview, and they're all harrowing, but with the father of one of the poor boys who lost his life, along with the young girls in this classroom. And it was really heartbreaking, but he was also extraordinarily dignified in the way he talked about the family of the shooter, and also about the way the world has reacted and showered its love and support onto Connecticut, onto Newtown, onto the Sandy Hook School, had really touched him. Have you noticed this?
There's been an outpouring all across America of people wanting to help and to give. In fact, I've suggested that the credit card companies and the internet processors suspend or eliminate their charges and fees and so forth so that people could donate without anybody taking a part of those contributions. But even more than the money has been the outpouring of caring and kindness within the Newtown community. You know, Newtown is a quintessential New England town. Everybody knows everybody else. which means that everybody is there to support each other, but of course they've all suffered a loss because everybody knows some of the children and the professionals who have been lost. In fact, that's true of all of Connecticut. The bonds are very, very close among a lot of people all throughout the state, and it has been heartbreaking. But here is maybe an even more important point. Newtown is coming together and coming back. It is rebuilding and recovering, remarkably resilient, resolute, and strong. People there want to do something, and again, I've been asked, in fact besieged, can you do something? What can you do about gun violence? In fact, there's an organization, Newtown United, that citizens there have started, and it will play a role along with other organizations in seeking to mobilize that community and reach across America.
Final question, Senator. If we could just divert to the fiscal cliff for one moment. Still no sign of a deal. Are you optimistic that there will be one before we all tumble over this cliff?
I'm hopeful. I think that there is a balanced and sensible common ground here. In fact, one could argue that the two sides, Speaker Boehner and President Obama, are really closer than you would believe hearing some of the public vitriol. But I do think that there is the potential for cutting spending, raising revenue in a very balanced way that avoids those drastic consequences of going over that cliff. And I am hopeful, I emphasize hopeful, that we will get there.
I hope you're right. Senator, thank you very much for joining me, and please send our continued condolences to everybody in your state. It's been a harrowing week for them and indeed for America.
Thank you.
Coming next, the interview you really have to see with a Texas gun store owner who thinks that teachers across America should be armed, and clergymen and nurses, in fact, just about everybody.
You go through the process, and you have been duly backgrounded and trained, and you are a concealed handgun license carrying individual. You should be able to carry your handgun anywhere in this state.
And for Texas Governor Rick Perry, that includes teachers. He thinks they should be armed in schools. Does my next guest, Crockett Keller, a gun store owner from Texas, he's offering a discount to teachers. Let me ask him what he believes. Mr. Keller, you agree with Rick Perry?
Yes, sir, I do, wholeheartedly. I've seen where that works.
And your idea is that all teachers would be armed?
No, not at all. I don't think that all teachers are capable of being armed. I don't think that they can handle it. It's too serious a situation. I think only volunteer teachers that are willing to go through extra training should be able to carry their weapons in school.
And you're offering a discount to teachers on weapons, is that right?
That's correct. Whether it be the weapons or the concealed carry class that I teach, either one. I have a lot of respect for teachers. It's an underpaid job. Them in military, I try to extend a sympathetic hand, if you will, toward their situation. I want to personally extend my sympathy toward all of the victims' families. I know what it's like to lose a child. I've gone through that. I don't wish that on anyone, and my sympathy is so much with these people. My heart is with them, and there's just nothing that words can say. I do wish that the news media would get out of their neighborhood and allow them to grieve in peace.
Right. Where would these teachers who are armed put the guns when they're at school?
I've thought about that a lot in the last couple of days, and I've actually been asked that question. And personally, I think on their person. I think that way they know where the weapon is all the time, and it's immediately accessible. This means that a woman is going to have to, I don't think that they should carry it in their purses, nor in a briefcase.
But obviously, if a gun was to tumble out of a teacher, if they had it in a harness or something, and it fell over and a school child picked it up and then used it, which a child may well do, you then have a very serious situation.
Well, the thing is that the teachers need to be more responsible than that.
Right.
We're not talking about here again. It is a you take extra training. They know where their weapon is. These weapons are not such that you would if it fell out of your pocket, you're going to know that it fell out of your pocket.
Do you sell AR-15 rifles?
When we can get them, they aren't a big item that I sell. I have a few. I have more so 22 caliber AR type weapons. I have one in stock. I don't necessarily make a real habit of stocking them.
I mean, the president wants to ban those type of weapons. What is your reaction to that?
I'm against any banning of any weapons that we are today. We have rules and regulations that if the laws are enforced, they're there and they do a certain amount of good. In the United States, you can own machine guns, you can own silencers. These require you to go through an additional background check. There have been little or no crimes committed with those weapons, and they're super assault weapons.
But are you aware,
sir,
that the last 3 mass shootings in America, at Sandy Hook, the school, at a shopping mall in Oregon, and at Aurora in a movie theater, were all with the AR-15? Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of that, and I also am aware that all it would have taken was one person with a concealed handgun to put them out of business. Right. And that happens quite a bit, and I think it happens more so.
But just to clarify, your suggestion at Sandy Hook then would have been for one of the female teachers to have pulled a gun and would shoot somebody with limited training, would shoot somebody who's carrying an AR-15, which could fire up to 100 bullets in a minute. That would be your solution? No,
that's not the solution, sir.
So what is the solution, if I misunderstood you?
I think that probably there should be an equal amount of firepower that the teacher would have. A principal should possibly even have an AR rifle in her office. And
sorry,
wherever
let me just
a person
get this absolutely straight.
to...
You're suggesting that a female teacher in an elementary school would have her own AR-15 assault weapon and would go and get it and start firing 100 bullets at another guy with school children everywhere. That is your solution, is it?
Why are we beating up on the women here? Whether it be a woman teacher or a man teacher, it's insignificant. The fact is they're going to have training. They're going to have good training, and hopefully, instead of spraying 100 rounds down a hallway, they'll shoot once and kill the guy or kill whoever the perpetrator is. We're not talking about just free fire. We don't do those type of things. When you're shooting a weapon to protect yourself, you always know what's behind it. And this business of shooting hundreds and hundreds of rounds, that's Hollywood stuff.
Actually, it's not.
That's something that's
it's actually not, sir, because as you may be aware, that's exactly what happened in the movie theatre in Aurora with an AR-15, and exactly what happened at Sandy Hook School. You are aware that 26 people were killed at Sandy Hook and that 70 were shot in Aurora and 12 of them died. I mean, you are aware that these weapons did unleash many, many, many bullets, are you, and killed many, many people?
My comment was that the person who is defending his place, whether it be a school or a theater, if they're trained properly, they can shoot one time and they take out the person who is spraying bullets. Right. And hopefully take him out before he sprays a lot of bullets. The name of the game is to have equal power that the criminals have.
Right.
I think that anyone in any profession that wants to be armed should be allowed to be armed. I agree with Governor Perry that when you've gone through these classes, when you've gone through the background check, when you've proven that you're capable of handling a weapon safely, I think you ought to be able to carry it anywhere. And if you're a nurse, that's a good place. If you're a clergyman, that's a good place. If you're a teacher, that's a good place also.
Arming the clergymen, teachers and nurses of America. Well, that is certainly a unique solution to this crisis. Crockett Keller, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.